6 million eggs from black sheep, and Ken's hens have been recalled for this possible Salmonella contamination. The FDA adding recalled products from the Black Sheep Egg Company were also sold to retailers and other wholesale companies in several states, including Arkansas. That carton of eggs in your fridge, the same brand you've bought for years. It feels safe, wholesome, farm, fresh eggs from a trusted name, but that carton might be cracking open more than breakfast. Salmonella outbreaks the CDC didn't publicize. Nutritional claims proven false in federal court. Chemical baths masking eggs weeks past fresh. Here's what they don't tell you. No. Federal law requires eggs to be tested for salmonella before hitting grocery shelves. Those pasture-raised and organic labels, not the safety net you think. Today, we'll expose 5 egg brands you must avoid and 2 that are actually safe. The truth is far worse than you think. 5. August Egg Company, the kind of product that blends in. No flashy colors, no screaming discounts, just a beige carton, a simple name, and a price that feels acceptable. August Eggy Company built its footprint, not by making noise but by slipping quietly into the habits of shoppers who don't think twice. That silence is exactly what makes this brand dangerous. In the last 4 months, online forums like Reddit and consumer complaint boards started lighting up. Reports of strange odors when cracking shells, lopsided yolks, eggs looking weeks past fresh. Even when well within the printed date, patterns began to emerge. The packaging might say fresh, but something felt off. A recent independent investigation by a third-party lab tested random samples across 6 different cities. What they found? Shockingly high bacterial counts in more than half the samples. One box registered levels of E. coli more than 10 times the accepted threshold for retail eggs. The catch: no formal recall was issued, no company apology, no media coverage, just a quiet withdrawal of some batches in local stores and a promise to investigate potential packaging inconsistencies. That's the phrase they used, inconsistencies, as if contamination is just a mild glitch. But the real problem isn't just hygiene, it's deception. According to multiple former distributors speaking anonymously, August Egg Company has been using a technique known as refresh coating. It involves washing older eggs in a food-safe chemical bath and applying a thin oil layer to restore sheen and mask odor. Legally, it's not prohibited. Ethically, it's a minefield. You could be buying eggs laid more than 30 days ago, treated to look brand new, repackaged, and sold without any indication they've been handled post-production. The expiration date, often reset. The shell tells one story, the inside tells another. Crack one, open. Notice how the white spreads too, thin, watery, lacking that gel-like cohesion fresh eggs have. The yolk sits flat instead of standing proud. Smell it. There's that faint sulfur note that shouldn't be there, the kind your nose registers before your brain catches up. Cook it and the texture is rubbery. The flavor slightly metallic. Your body knows something's wrong even if you can't name it. August Egg Company isn't operating on a small scale. Their reach extends into over 400 retail outlets across the Midwest and Southeast, often under private label deals. That means the eggs you buy at a local market might not even say August on the box. August Egg Company is a case study in everything wrong with how we regulate eggs in this country. When a shell can be polished to hide what's inside, what else aren't we seeing? For budget, conscious meal preppers buying based on price at regional grocery chains, you're getting eggs that might be chemically masked and weeks old. E. coli levels 10 times above safe thresholds locked. Inside cartons that look perfectly fresh. Chemical baths hiding old eggs. Bacterial contamination ignored. At least August operates in obscurity. The next brand wraps contamination in organic promises and small batch fantasies. 4. Black Sheep Egg Company. It looked like a win for the little guys, a regional brand popping up in organic markets and boutique grocery stores, labels stamped with words like free-range, grade A, and pasture-fed, brown eggs in recyclable cartons with soft branding and softer promises. Everything about it whispered trust, but the name Black Sheep Egg Company would end up marking one of the biggest FDA recalls of the year, and not enough. People are talking about it. Late September, the recall came quietly. No press conference, no headlines on the evening news, just a bulletin tucked into a Friday FDA update. Over 500,000 eggs were being pulled from stores in Missouri and Arkansas due to confirmed Salmonella contamination. But by the time the warning went out, the majority of those eggs had already been sold, eaten, gone. Unlike mass-market brands relying on national distributors, companies like Black Sheep fly under the radar. They market themselves as local, ethical, small batch. But small doesn't mean safe, and local doesn't mean immune. Inspection records show repeated gaps in traceability, boxes without proper lot codes, delivery logs, handwritten and incomplete, supply chains blurred between farms, co-ops, and subcontractors. It's the kind of operation that thrives in ambiguity. It's easy to believe these brands are the answer, that by avoiding the giants, you're choosing better food. But Black Sheep proves how that belief can backfire, because the illusion of trust is more dangerous than distrust itself. More than a dozen people were hospitalized before the CDC traced cases back to a specific batch of Black Sheep's grade A large brown eggs. Symptoms included vomiting, high fever, and in at least 2 cases, hospitalization for dehydration and kidney stress. 1 patient required intensive care for over 72 hours. The company's response, a 2-line statement. No apology, no accountability, just a promise to review procedures. That's what 500,000 contaminated eggs buys you in this system. A footnote, a shrug. And here's the thing, this isn't just about bacteria. This is about the system, allowing these brands to cut corners in the first place. It costs money to test eggs, sanitize equipment, track batches, and hire qualified personnel. But when a company knows USDA oversight is limited, for regional producers, what's stopping them from skipping steps? These eggs carry similar pricing to legitimate brands, sometimes even higher. And yet, you're gambling with your gut every time you buy the branding. The irony, the name Black Sheep was supposed to mean independent, different, better. But it ended up proving the opposite, that the most dangerous products aren't always the cheapest ones. Sometimes they're the ones pretending to be pure. For organic shoppers at Whole Foods who chose Black Sheep believing small batch means safe, you paid premium prices for 500,000 contaminated eggs. The clean, label, aesthetic, and recyclable carton couldn't hide the salmonella that sent a dozen people to hospitals. The 2-line non-apology is all you got for trusting the illusion. Comment if you've been buying eggs at Whole Foods thinking organic means safe. How many of us fell for the small batch illusion? Organic, fraud masking salmonella. Small batch, illusions hiding big contamination. But at least Black Sheep is a newer brand, trying to build reputation. The next one has been deceiving families for years, with wholesome imagery that hides industrial reality. 3. C. Country egg. You've probably seen them at farmers markets or on the shelves of budget-friendly grocers. Country egg. The name alone evokes fresh air, open land, wooden crates, and hens scratching freely in the sun. It sells the image of rural purity so well most people never bother to look past the carton. And that's exactly how a product like this slips through. In reality, the country egg operation has almost nothing to do with what their branding suggests. Recent disclosures from food watchdog groups reveal that a significant portion of their egg supply originates not from family-run farms, but from centralized mass production sites located in industrial zones outside St. Louis and Chattanooga. Facilities that operate with efficiency as priority, not ethics or safety. The deception goes deeper than misleading imagery. Internal audit Leaks obtained earlier this year exposed a troubling practice, mislabeling eggs from different production batches, blending older inventory into new shipments to avoid loss. In multiple reports, the same lot numbers were printed on boxes packed weeks apart. That kind of manipulation doesn't just bend rules. It shatters any hope of traceability when things go wrong. And things did go wrong. In early June, health departments in 3 states traced a spike in gastrointestinal infections back to eggs distributed by Country Eggs regional contractors. While not enough for a federal recall, the investigation uncovered over 400 reported illnesses, mainly among elderly, consumers, and low-income families relying on food assistance programs. This isn't just about a few bad cartons. This is about how quickly a small slip becomes a system-wide hazard when accountability is blurred. Country Egg operates through what the industry politely calls contract packers, third-party facilities that handle sorting, grading, and packaging for multiple brands at on. CE. 1 hour, they're packing eggs for a premium organic label. The next hour for discount bulk buyers. With hundreds of thousands of units passing through, daily keeping lines separate isn't just unlikely, it's impossible. For elderly consumers on fixed incomes who depend on affordable eggs from food assistance programs, Country Eggs Contaminated batches sent 17 people to hospitals with severe dehydration and fever. Those 400 reported illnesses hit the most vulnerable, people who can't afford organic alternatives, people who trusted the wholesome farm imagery while eating eggs from industrial facilities in St. Louis and Chattanooga, not family farms. This isn't just about avoiding one bad breakfast. It's about recognizing that some brands exist purely because the system allows them to. Wholesome branding hiding industrial facilities, family farm imagery masking contamination outbreaks affecting the most vulnerable. But at least Country Egg operates regionally with limited reach. The next brand is a household name with a contamination history, spanning decades and a presence in every major grocery chain. 2. Rose Farms, they're everywhere. From the top shelf at Walmart to the end caps at your neighborhood Kroger, neatly packed in, familiar cartons stamped with slogans about farm freshness and family values. But behind the curtain, behind the marketing, lies one of the most persistent threats in America's food supply, Acre Farms. If the name rings a bell, it should. Back in 2018, this company was at the heart of one of the largest egg recalls in U.S. history. Over 200 million eggs pulled due to Salmonella contamination. But that's ancient history, right? Wrong. Because this isn't about the past. This is about what's happening right now in a system that hasn't changed. A system still riddled with the same cracks. Since January of this year, Acre Farms has been flagged in multiple USDA sanitation audits for violations that should have sent warning sirens blaring. Not 1, not 2, but at least 6 separate citations across different facilities. And yet, their eggs continue to flow freely into major chains, sold at volume, discounts, and consumed by millions. You start to wonder, how can a company with a track record of endangering public health still dominate shelves nationwide? The answer isn't comforting. The deeper you look, the more you realize Acre isn't just a brand, it's a symbol of everything broken in our food system. This is a company that, despite serving time in the spotlight for public health failures, managed to expand operations into states like Texas, Iowa, and North Carolina. Each time rebranding, recontracting, renegotiating with distributors, like pressing reset without fixing the source of the rot. They've learned to adapt, not to change, and that's where the real danger lies. It's not just about dirty facilities, rodents, poor refrigeration, or waste mismanagement, although those are documented too. It's about the illusion of regulation, the belief that someone out there is watching your food for you, making sure what you bring home is safe. But when you dig into inspection records, you start seeing patterns of non-compliance, followed by short-term corrections, then business as usual, then another slip, then silence. And maybe you've noticed, maybe the eggs you bought last week didn't smell quite right. Maybe the yolk was paler than it should be. Maybe your stomach felt off the morning after. Acre Farms still ranks among the top 3 egg producers in America. How? Because scale protects them. Because cheap wins. Because the system isn't designed to protect you. It's designed to protect contracts, distribution, deals, and profit margins. Your health is the acceptable loss. When one company, less over 5 billion eggs annually. The margin for error isn't just narrow, it's catastrophic. One contaminated lot can affect hundreds of thousands of homes. Emergency room visits, missed workdays, skyrocketing medical bills. But the carton stays the same, unchanged, familiar. The tragedy isn't that Acre made a mistake once. The tragedy is that mistakes became part of the process. Acceptable losses written off in boardroom spreadsheets, but ending up in your kitchen. For Walmart, bulk buyers and large families, stretching grocery budgets with volume discounts. Acre's $6 of violations. This year proved that cheap eggs come with expensive consequences. Those pale yolks and off smells aren't coincidence. They're warning signs from facilities that sent 170 people to emergency rooms in the past 8 months. Check your carton right now. Is Acres stamped on it? Drop a comment with the brand in your fridge. Let's see how many of us are eating from contaminated facilities. The 200 million eggs recalled in 2018, 6 violations in 2024, still on shelves nationwide. But the absolute worst, offender isn't even hiding their deception, they're selling it as premium nutrition. One, Eggland's Best, the red and white cartons, the promise of better eggs, the marketing about nutrition and animal welfare. Eggland's Best has built a reputation over decades. People see that familiar packaging and feel a warm sense of trust. Premium eggs for a premium price. What could possibly be wrong? Everything. In early 2024, Eggland's Best faced a class action lawsuit accusing it of misleading consumers about fat content. The company advertised eggs with 25% less saturated fat than regular eggs. Sounds healthy. Sounds like exactly what health-conscious consumers would pay extra for. But independent lab tests revealed that some samples contain nearly 2.84 grams of saturated fat per serving. Almost double the claimed amount. That's not just a slip in quality control. That's a gap wide enough to question the integrity of every label they print.